welcome to the Blue Line, your home for Penn State hockey here on WHVL. Mike Tressa, Andrew Calista bringing you all the information you need to know on Penn State hockey. And it was a big weekend for the Lions as they opened their first ever games in Big Ten Conference play, and they had a tough road test.
Yeah, that test came in the form of the Wisconsin Badgers, the 17th ranked team in the country, but they were coming off 2 straight losses to the top ranked team in the country, the Minnesota Golden Gophers. And hey, the Kohl Center, always a tough place to play on the road.
Well, Wisconsin had some extra motivation as well. Penn State, the last team to win in the Kohl Center, so they had that, plus the 2 losses to Minnesota. That really proved why Wisconsin came out with such fire in Game 1. Badgers sending out junior goalie Joe Rumpel to stop the Lions. Matched up with sophomore Matt Scott, but this wouldn't be a good day for the Lions. 3 minutes into the game, Luke Juha's pass goes right to Sean Little. Turnovers hurting the Lions. Little speeds up ice. Great cross to Grant Bessie. 1-0 fast, and even faster than that. A minute later, Morgan Zelenik clears from the boards right over to Frankie Simonelli. Just inside the blue line, fires past Scoff. 2-0 at that point. Scoff not happy with his play, but the Lions are fighters, still in this. In the first, puck sent behind the goal. Ricky DeRosa directs it in front, and captain Tommy Olczyk coming out of the screen and scoring. Gets the goal, his 3rd of the year. 2-1 game after 1, but all Badgers from there. Another Lion miscue, this time Patrick Cowdice stripped by Nick Kurdiles to Michael Mersch for the score. 3-1 at that point. The Badgers pile on the goals after it. Matt Scoff will be taken out of this one with over 7 minutes to play as the Badgers score 4 more times in a lopsided 7-1 win.
We actually were playing pretty well as a whole, but made a couple of very big mistakes. And if you allow a team like Wisconsin with the firepower they have, you can't give them a 2-on-0, a 2-on-1, a breakaway, and expect to come out alive. So that's what happened. But as a whole, we played much, much, much better.
Coach Godowski and his guys obviously not happy with that performance. Last week they talked about mental toughness and maturity. Would it show through in game number 2 this weekend? Penn State looking to bounce back early on a power play, 5-on-3. Luke Juha with a great look down to Eric Scheid for his 7th of the year. Scheid could be that offensive spark the Lions need. Take another look. What a pass. Scheid top shelf with it. All square at 1 in the second. Badgers on the power play. Nick Kurdiles with a shot. Michael Marsh puts home the rebound. Later in the second, Lions on the attack. DeRosa over to Zach Saar, flips it on net. Loose puck, DeRosa bats it into the net. Have another look. Things happen when you go hard to the crease. DeRosa's 2nd of the year. Wisconsin would answer. Turnover in your own zone could only mean bad things. Puck comes out to Joe Foss. One-timer, 3-2 Badgers. Would get worse for the Lions. All tied late in the third. Lions can't dig the puck out. Puck out comes to Kurdiles. Cowdice goes down. Kurdiles beats Scoff with a highlight reel goal, and that's your game winner as the Badgers escape 4-3.
That was probably the most complete game that we've played since I've been at Penn State. There's a lot to be very happy about. I mean, it's a great team. I thought we responded really well. You know, we were down twice and came back, and in the very end, I mean, the wrong guy had the puck on his stick, quite honestly. I mean, that was a heck of a goal, but very happy. If we are able to duplicate that performance, then we should even have some success in the Big Ten maybe this year.
So take a look at the stat recap from the weekend. The goal differential in large part to that first night 7-1 blowout. Penn State still committing too many penalties, including 6 in the close Game 2 loss. Big takeaway from the series with the face-off circle. The Lions beaten badly by the Badgers, 68-46. Coach Godowski now on the series in sounding off, brought to you by Ace Hardware State College.
I'm not so sure if we can guarantee that every game we play we're going to have 60 minutes like we had, but certainly the fact that we did it against an excellent team, and we played well. I mean, we played well. The shots at the end were 31-30. I thought the chances were similar. We played very well, and we even gave up 6 power plays to our 2. So there was a lot of things to be very happy about. You can never guarantee that it's going to happen in the future, but I know we're a whole lot further ahead now than we were when we started.
One positive for the Lions, though, was Ricky DeRosa. Here you see him chip and chase the puck as he gets an assist on Tommy Olczyk's goal. Ricky would get his own goal in Game 2, leading the charge, gives it up to Saar, then goes hard to the net and puts home the rebound. Take another look as this puck is in midair when DeRosa gets to it. Great goal, great hustle. I liked it so much. Let's see it again in slow-mo. Great hand-eye coordination for a great goal, and for Ricky DeRosa's efforts, he is our player of the week.
And let's continue right there with the good from the weekend series. You know, it's kind of hard on a 6-game losing streak, but Penn State's been playing tough teams, and they've been doing some good things.
Yeah, Mike, I'm going to go with 2. First, offense against a quality opponent. They were able to get some really good shots, and it showed us something. They had good puck movement, seemed to get the puck in space, and they were able to operate finally, which led to 30 shots on goal and some good scoring chances. Second, for me, Matt Scott. There will be games like this for him and McAdam where they just don't have it. Game 1 was one of those nights. He gave up 5 goals in 50 minutes. Game 2 played much better, 27 saves, many of them of the very tough variety.
And playing off comebacks, Penn State has shown an ability to bounce back after losses, similar to when they lost 4-0 to UMass Lowell, then came back in Game 2 with a chance to win late in a 1-goal loss. The same thing happened with Wisconsin. Penn State tied things up before losing late to Wisconsin, but the stats, Penn State scored 3 times on 31 shots after just 1 goal on 28 shots. More importantly, they only gave up 31 Badger shots in Game 2 after 43 in Game 1. Big improvements like that will lead to wins as the Lions continue to improve. But also a lot of bad that happened this weekend, and we'll spare the slow starts that we talked about last week.
Yeah, Mike. It happened against Union, it happened against UMass Lowell, and again, it happened on the road against Wisconsin. That just can't happen, needs to be improved going forward.
First thing of the bad that we're going to spotlight is the face-offs. Penn State did not a very good job on the face-offs. Lots of problems there. Mentioned in the stat board, Penn State was dominated as the Badgers won 68 of the 114 face-offs. That's nearly 60% of face-off wins. Penn State needs those chances as they were winning 52 of their contests entering the series.
Mike, losing face-offs is bad and can lead to problems, especially when you are on the penalty kill all the time. We saw how those two things combined in the Union series to lose Game 1. Game 1 against Wisconsin wasn't bad. The Lions only took 3 penalties. Game 2, however, the Badgers spent 10 minutes on the power play compared to just 2 minutes for the Lions. The Lions also gave up 1 goal to fall behind 2-1 while on the penalty kill. Too much time is being spent here and not enough time on the offensive attack.
Well, the Lions will have some time to work on those things and fix the problems. They have 2 full weekends off before returning to the Three Rivers Classic in Pittsburgh. We'll preview that tournament coming up after the break.
I don't think the guys are ready to break. I think that they're not. They certainly wanted to win, but I do think that they know that they can play, and so we're sort of anxious to get after it.
Welcome back to the Blue Line. You heard Coach Godowski's team doesn't want to break, but they're going to have one before they open play in the Three Rivers Classic at Consol Energy Center in Pittsburgh.
Yeah, they lost to Robert Morris last year in the tournament 6-0, but they already beat the Colonials this season earlier in the year.
And last season, Lions opened up play with a loss, but then they ended up bouncing back with a win over Ohio State, which was big for the program. The tournament enters its 2nd year. It was a very successful year in its first year, exceeding their attendance expectations. Great event, and Penn State really hopes to open this year with a win. They do that against the familiar opponent in Robert Morris, and for that, we'll take a look at the J. Magai Mitsubishi matchup board.
Penn State and Robert Morris stack up pretty evenly. Both teams struggling to get wins this season. As you could tell by the records, the Colonials' only wins have come in the AHA conference games, and they yet to have a win away from home. Plus, RMU really struggles killing the penalties. Nearly half the goals against the Colonials are on the power play, but one thing helps Penn State more than anything.
And that's the fact that the Lions already played Robert Morris at their building and came away with a 5-4 win. Penn State did that in a back-and-forth win. They led 3-1 before the Colonials came back to tie. And eventually Mike Williamson scored in the 3rd. That would be the decider. Matt Scott stopped 48 pucks in that one, but the Lions didn't play their best game and are ready to see what they could do now playing at a higher level.
I'm really anxious because I know shots aren't everything, but they did get 52 shots on us, which was brutal as far as we're concerned, and we want to prove that's not us. So we are anxious to play them again with the lessons that we've learned the past month or so and see if there's a difference.
After 6 straight losses, a win for the Lions could mean a big spark for them and a chance to meet up with another marquee opponent, Boston College.
Yeah, that would happen if the Eagles are able to win their first-round game. The Eagles have Bowling Green in their first matchup. Bowling Green has beaten Ohio State in the year. They're 7-8-3, but all signs point to Boston College getting a win. They're a top-ranked team.
Yeah, BC is 10-4-2 on the season. They've climbed to a number 6 ranking this year. They have played the top of the Big Ten already, losing to the Wolverines, but also losing and tying to Minnesota. But the danger with BC, they can score, and they can score in bunches.
And you can't imagine Penn State wants to see a team like that can score so well. Boston College averages over 4 goals a game. They have 2 scorers, Johnny Gaudreau and Kevin Hayes, each with 10 or more goals, and they have 2 scorers with 7 goals each. Penn State's leading scorer just has 7 goals on the season, so it's going to be a tough matchup.
Mike, before we get ahead of ourselves with some future talk, let's go back and see what the Lions need to work on if they want to be competitive in this tournament.
That's right. Just because Penn State already beat Robert Morris doesn't mean, hey, it's a guaranteed win. Robert Morris gets to see the same tape that Penn State did. And like Godowski said, and Robert Morris shot the puck so much more than Penn State in that game, over 50 shots against the Lions, so that's not good. Penn State does have some things to work on, and one of the first things they need to do is close out games better.
Yeah, they allowed the late RMU goal with time winding down to escape with just a 5-4 win. And just like against Union, when Penn State allowed that breakaway last-second goal to lose, like this past weekend versus Wisconsin when Nick Cardillo scored with 8 minutes to play, Penn State had a chance in these games. But as Guy Godowski said this week, you've got to be able to finish and put teams away.
I mean, we're just getting to the point where we're trying to play a good game. I think we got there. Now we know we could do it in spurts. And I think the first time this year we played an actual hockey game for 60 minutes, and now we have to learn, the next step is to close them out. Some of the wins we had, Robert Morris, we didn't play well. You can't say we closed that one out. We did not play well. So I think that's the next step.
Finishing hasn't been a problem lately for Zach Saar, whether it's been on a hit or a scoring chance. And our own Elise Murkowski had a chance to catch up with him in this week's Player Profile.
I'm joined here with freshman forward Zach Saar. And Zach, you had a big game this weekend. First multi-point game here against Wisconsin to open up Big Ten play. And tell me what led to your success.
You know what? I think that second game versus Wisconsin, our line and especially our team really bought into what our goals and what we need to do to win those games versus a really talented team like Wisconsin, and it paid off.
And coaches really talked about how you guys have played your first full game really and started to see more and more success. What does that do for the outlook of the Big Ten play, and how are you guys going to continue this into the Big Ten?
I think we're concerned with our play right now, and we're slowly working to where we want to be. And I think that second game versus Wisconsin, we saw glimpses of what Penn State hockey is going to be about as we move into many more games versus Big Ten, and we're only going to build on it.
And you're familiar with the Big Ten and Penn State specifically. Your dad was on the 1982 championship team for the football team. What did that help make your decision process to come to Penn State, or has he told you any stories about Penn State before you made it here?
He really didn't. I mean, I asked him a lot about football, and my dad knows what it takes to play college sports and commitment and working hard, all of which he learned at Penn State. And I'm very thankful to get that advice from him. But he didn't push me either way. He wanted me to make my own decision, and I visited Penn State first and fell in love. So he was obviously very happy to know I chose here.
Thanks very much, Zach.
All right, thank you.
Back to you guys.
When we come back on the Blue Line, it's time to sit down with a true Penn Stater, Joe Bott. Joe Batista is in the house to talk about the future of the Penn State program and his thoughts on the season thus far. All that and more when we come back on the Blue Line.
We certainly all recognize and appreciate all the work that he's done as a club coach and to build this building. We all very much recognize it, very much appreciate it.
Welcome back to the Blue Line. You just heard Coach Godowski talking about this man. It's a pleasure to be joined by Joe Batista, so influential with bringing Penn State hockey to where it is today. You're the former associate AD of Pegula and hockey development here, now currently the VP of hockey-related business with Pegula. How has that transition been, leaving there, going to that new job?
It's been bittersweet. I mean, I love my new position. It's a lot of fun. I work directly with our hockey operations president, Pat LaFontaine, who's an NHL Hall of Famer and has boundless energy and enthusiasm. But I had always hoped that I would have gotten a chance to stick around and get to enjoy Pegula Ice Arena a little bit longer. Been talking to Terry about a position in his hockey operation in Buffalo for a long time. Just didn't think it would happen quite this fast, but it's fascinating. We've got a lot of great things happening up there in Buffalo, and I certainly keep an eye on everything that's going on back here. And now I'm just a super fan and a volunteer fundraiser.
Talking about Penn State hockey now, going back there, now that you're removed from the day-to-day processes, how much do you hear about where the program is now and just Penn State hockey as a whole now that you're removed?
With Twitter and Facebook and the web, it's so easy to stay connected. I follow the team every chance I can. I get all the text alerts, so I'm on top of where we are and how the team's doing. And we'll be actually coming down quite a bit. I'll be in for the Minnesota weekends and the Michigan and Michigan State weekends as part of my job with the Sabres. And we're actually bringing about 35 of our Sabres employees down here during the Olympic break to come down and tour Pegula Ice Arena and to see the game against Michigan State on February 14th.
That's great. And you said when you left, the future is bright for Penn State hockey. The men's team's been on a losing streak lately, but they're playing really tough teams and hanging with those teams. Now that the Big Ten's established, they're in Division I, what are your expectations and what do you see this program becoming?
Well, we always knew it would take time. Originally we were not thinking of going into a Big Ten until 2014-15, so everything got bumped up a year. And, it makes it a little more challenging because, in fairness to Coach Godowski, his staff, and to our program here, we've only had a couple of years to recruit. And so there's a growing, pains that we're going to go through, and I think as long as they're seeing improvement, which I think they are, and you keep adding, more talent every year, it's not going to take long before Coach Godowski and his staff are going to have this program, challenging for a Big Ten title.
And you mentioned in the advancement, how quick it's happened. I mean, you started here as a player, 35 years later now, all that Penn State hockey's become. Did you think this could become a reality, and how impressive you are what has happened?
I always dreamed about it, but not just me. This is a dream a lot of us have had, and a lot of people worked hard behind the scenes for many, many years. And when it came time to actually build Pegula Ice Arena, a lot of the former players stepped forward and helped us out in numerous ways, not just financially, but certainly that helped. And the fact that the Icers had such success during those years, that's what attracted Terry Pegula, to be a part of Penn State hockey and to help us make this move forward. So it's been a great journey, and like I said, passing the torch to Guy Godowski and his staff, they're just awesome, and I do believe the future is very bright here.
Joe, thank you so much for your time. It's always a pleasure to have you back in the area. Thanks for your time, and we'll see the new advancements that are coming, hopefully, to Pegula in the near future. Andrew?
Thanks, guys. Joe, always good to hear from you. As for the women, tough series last weekend as they fell to Mercyhurst, one of the top programs in the nation, 7-0 and 8-0. Penn State is now 1-9 in conference. Problems were in the first period for the Lions as Mercyhurst scored 6 first-period goals. PSU goalies were under a heavy barrage of shots. 45 saves in one game for Panicha, 34 saves for Celine Whitlinger. The women off until January when they take on Ohio State, but we caught up with points leader Shannon Yoxheimer in this week's Player Profile.
I'm here with sophomore forward Shannon Yoxheimer. And Shannon, you guys had a really tough series with Mercyhurst. Mercyhurst is a powerhouse team. What do you guys, as a young team, learn from playing someone like that?
Right. We played them last year, and we gave them a harder time the second series that we played them. And, I think what we would take out of that weekend would definitely be what we've been focusing on all year is everybody sticking to your job when times get tough and just playing the whole 60 minutes because, we really, especially the second game, we really turned it around after that first period, and we had a better rest of the game. We just had to focus on doing our own jobs.
So you're leading in points this season. You're really successful last year. What have been keys to that success?
I think it's just all preparation and just even preparing before the season starts with preseason working out and just always focusing on the ice. Every practice matters, and just I think for me the biggest thing for the success is focus, and then just being with my team and everything like that. It all combines, and it's a successful environment. So.
And you guys have a break now until January. What are you going to do over this rest period, and what are you most looking forward to as the start in January?
I'm actually going home to Michigan. I'm really excited because I haven't been home since I came to school, so I'm really looking forward to spending some time with my family and also obviously still working on my hockey skills and working out so I stay in shape for the series coming up with Ohio State.
Thanks very much, Shannon.
Thank you.
Back to you guys.
Great job, Elise. Don't go anywhere. The Blue Line will be right back. We'll take a look around the Big Ten Conference, head up to Pegula, and highlight some outstanding plays from this past weekend.
You have to really have the buy-in to play a tough game that takes a lot of effort. And that's trust me, that's why we have to play against every team in the Big Ten if we want a chance.
Welcome back to the Blue Line. Hope your Christmas shopping is going great right now. Penn State with some time off through the Christmas holiday, but let's take a look back at some outstanding plays from the Wisconsin series.
And we're going to start that off with the Aaron's Amazing Save of the Week. It started with Matt Scoff in Game 2 on the power play, stopping a one-timer from Frank Simonelli. Let's see some more looks as Scoff able to get the pad save and then more importantly, not allow a rebound out to the Badger in front of the net, keeping the game from getting away and allowing the Lions their later chance to take the lead.
Time now for the Cove Crunch of the Week. Getting chippy in the first, there you see a slash. Here's why. Mike Williamson takes Jefferson Dahl out up against the board. Slowing it down, Williams lays him out as Dahl attempts to duck, but he can't avoid it. 5'9" versus 6'3" right there in our Cove Crunch of the Week.
And now looking at the Big Ten as a conference, Penn State didn't start conference play out on the right foot, losing their first 2 games, but it's going to be a long season in conference. If anything from the last weekend shows us, anyone can beat anyone or even tie them.
Yeah, that was proven last week when Michigan State went into Minnesota and Sparty came away with a tie. Big weekend for Sparty. Hey, Buckeyes, how was that championship football game that you saw last weekend?
That shootout win for the Spartans, good to drop Minnesota to number 2 in the country, but still at the top of the Big Ten standings. Michigan right there on their tail. Wisconsin, they got on the board with those 2 wins over Penn State. Michigan State, Ohio State, and Penn State all looking for their first conference win.
And as we look at the upcoming schedule for the Big Ten this week, just a few games, all of them out of conference. Wisconsin goes from taking on Guy Gadowski to facing the coach's alma mater in Colorado College. And Michigan State hosts Ferris State, getting those games in before the break.
Pegula Ice Arena not seeing any hockey for a while, but there's one area that stays open to the public and provides for a tasty treat, and that's the focus of this week's Pegula Spotlight.
That would be the Subway Annie Ann's dining area. The lounge stays open during the day and provides a valuable resource for its location.
Really the only food service on this side of campus. So, I mean, we get everybody from the Shields building, Wagner building, students, hockey team, obviously.
Subway stays open 7 to 9 during the week and 9 to 9 on the weekends. Annie Ann's open until 8. That gives visitors plenty of chances to satisfy their sweet tooth or just cozy up to the fire. You could also check out the teams practicing. The area has something for everyone, and so far it's been great for both the customers and the restaurants.
We're definitely excited to have them and to offer them this amazing dining room with the 3 TVs and the 3 fireplaces. They're just thrilled.
Give me some of those cinnamon and sugar soft pretzels.
I think you're sweet enough. Anyway, Penn State hockey, playing some of their best hockey, but they do have time off. We'll see how that affects them as they move forward going into the Three Rivers Classic in Pittsburgh and what we should expect from there.
They need a spark this weekend. Things, 6 games losing streak. Let's get back on the winning track.
We'll have more of those games coming up. Next week's special show, looking at Coach Gadowski and also the coach of the women's team, Josh Brandwine. That'll do it for the Blue Line this week. We'll see you guys next week.